welcome to another Wednesday evening chat with Louise. So I want to talk about one of my favourite things, and that is crystals. I think since a child I have been fascinated by rocks and stones, pretty stones, feathers, and it was what prompted this today. I was listening to, Ekaterina, what's her last name? Ekaterina Shalahoova, sorry, real apologies for my pronunciation, but it's her version of Savage Daughter. And she's not the original writer of it, but there's lots of covers of it on YouTube. And she talks about women and the old ways, but one of the lines is she looks for her omens in the colours of stones. And how many times do we say about crystals that we don't choose them, they choose us? And if we lose one, it came into our life to help us, and it went when we didn't need it anymore. And the thing is, every time you go to events or you go to different places, you see these fabulous crystals and you pick them up and you bring them home. But I didn't really think about perhaps the impact of having so many around me in a room at one time. And I like to take mine out on the full moon. I just like to put them outside so they're under the moon, and that for me is the cleansing and recharging of them, if you like. Now, I don't necessarily use them in practice. Some people heal with crystals, some people, if they're going through things particularly in their life, like crystals, and they use them for support. And I suppose I do, but I'm not as ritualistic about it perhaps as I used to be when I was younger, though I still enjoy having them about. And I do think the energy of a stone can resonate with you, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same for other people, because often if you Google, what does rose quartz do? Now, I've got a lovely big bit of rose quartz here, and people say, that's for love, and that can be for healing. And I just think it's whatever it means to you. I find it brings a beautiful peace and calmness. So I have quite a few of these, and I don't feel I can overdo it with these. Probably need as much peace and calm as I can get. Another one that I've always been fascinated to is the labradorite. Find it ever so hard to say that, but it's the flashes. I don't think you're going to be able to pick them up maybe as well. Can you see the blues coming through? And when the light hits it, that's reflecting outside. That's it there. You can see the colours. And I love these, absolutely love them. So yes, obviously these are quite large ones, but I've always had the labradorite on a necklace as well, or in jewellery, bracelets. And even they've led to stories or to journeys, and for us to do things. So I picked this one up, and we were talking literally to my friends at the time, and I said, I've never been to Glastonbury, going back a few years now. I said, love to see the tour. And my friend was saying, yeah, we ought to do this. And then I went, no, we didn't just ought to. Let's just do it. And we picked a day, and I walked over to this table where they were selling crystals. And though it's a bit, you might have to use your imagination, but that reminded me of the tour on the hill. And I went, that's a sign, we're going. So that's always been a special one for me, that little bit of labradorite, because that took us on a journey back there quite a few times, and to explore it and to feel the energies perhaps in places you don't expect when you're in Glastonbury. But yeah, really, really enjoy going there. Another way, I think it's this iridescence of the ones. This is selenite, and I love this, and this helps cleanse the other crystals. But for me, it's just a beautiful, the shape of it, everything about it, I love. But getting onto the story of where we can perhaps overdo it. And I know if I've even got too much of the labradorite in my room, being a very small room to live in, I find that quite grounding. And I like it, for me, it's a crystal of being true to yourself. It's me. Love me or hate me, it's me, and I'm not changing. So this is, a kind of being true to yourself. Yeah, that probably sounded a bit rough saying, I'm not changing. Of course you know, you're adaptable, but you do not want to be something other than that's your true essence. So that's why that one always resonates with me. I do feel very of the earth, very grounded, whereas I know I have friends that I would almost describe them as off planet. They're up here, and it's lovely, and that's why we're friends, because they help to lift me when I could be really stuck in the mud, and I help to bring them back down a little bit into the world that we're in now. So yes, but I was fascinated by tektites, which this bit here is one I used to wear on my necklace. It's Libyan desert glass. So it's to do with meteorites when they hit the sand, and the heat and the speed and everything, it basically fuses in with the sand. So that's my little bit of Libyan desert glass from the desert. But I've also been fascinated by the other tektite, moldavite. I don't know, it always makes me think Harry Potter with a mold bit in front of it, you know. And I wanted some moldavite, and I had a piece for a while, and everybody says how powerful moldavite is, and to be honest, it's a bit of a minefield out there really, because there is so much faked. You even get fake certificates with it, so much coming from China and places like that. But I truly believe if you get a genuine bit, you will know, because this is a little bit here, and it's very hard to see, but when you look in them, they have got bubbles in them. You can see colour. They don't fake that the same. That's the only way I can describe it. It's not very useful, is it? But so I thought, oh, wonder how powerful with meditation these tektites could be together. Well, I have to say, I hadn't even realised about it, but I felt every time I wore it, I felt not myself. I think that's the best way I can describe it. Quite cross, quite grumpy, anxious. Yeah, so I put a bit of my labradorite in, which again, a lot of people would say, well, that's kind of defeating the object, because, you know, that's grounding. So you're wanting something to elevate so you can meditate, so you can do work with spirit or whatever it is that you like to work with. But then by putting that in, but I did find that helped balance it a bit. But leaving it in the room that night, the dreams and all the sorts of things that were going on in my head, it did make me think that perhaps this magpie collection of crystals you can overdo it. You can literally have all your senses and fighting against another. So though there are books on crystals, and there's amazing crystal Bibles, 1, 2 and 3 you can get, and it tells you all about the properties and how they can help, how they can be used in healing, all the different things. And I would definitely recommend them. But equally, if you get one and it doesn't quite resonate that way, then go with your gut feeling and how it works for you. Because now what I've done is, the ones I have piles of, I've got a little, I don't know what some people call it, altar. Other people, it reminds me of my H table when I was little at school. I used to take in things you found. But it's got all my favourite feathers and rocks and fossils and some crystals on there, and I love it. And I add to it through the seasons, and the colours change with the seasons. The greens and blues come out for summer when I'm at the sea and the trees are out, and then in the autumn times then we'll go to the russets and the reds. And so that's just something I like to do. But when I was looking and thinking, gosh, how many crystals have I got in this room? And then to remove them all out for the full moon and actually be able to put them all outside, because selenite, you don't want to get wet, but it was going to be a dry night. I put them all outside and I could feel the difference in the energy without a doubt. So I'm very careful now what I introduce. I've got a little cupboard that's just for crystals. I cleanse them, they're put in there, and then if I feel drawn, then I will go and get them. Some of the ones that I can, cope with energetically are there all the time on display. But it was a little bit of a learning curve for me, and I just thought it'd be really interesting to know if any of you have come across this or had ones that really reacted with you and you didn't get on with. And me and my little tektites here will be working carefully with them in the future and see if and when they fit into my life. Anyway, lovely to chat with you again, and hope you're all well, and I'd be fascinated to hear any of your crystal stories. Thank you. Bye.